Welcome to the JP Pod. If I can just talk to you about how long I've been trying to launch this pod, I'm not even going to say, because I know the people that know me know that once we decide to do something, it's 100, we're on. But it's been delayed, it's been long overdue, and here we are. So hello everyone, welcome to the JP Pod. I am so excited. Hopefully it's going to be a weekly thing. So every week, I'm thinking of Wednesdays when it's going to be dropping. So keep your eye out every Wednesday. I'm going to be here sharing, you know me, I talk about mental fitness, mindset, all things to do with being happy at the end of the day. Because what is the point of being alive on this planet of ours with all the madness in it, and we're miserable at the same time, you know? So the easiest thing that we can do for ourselves is actually try and learn ourselves, understand ourselves the most, so that we can know how to engage ourselves to have the best life possible. Obviously using the tools like, I don't know, meditation, hanging out with friends, like whatever it is that makes you happy, you go for it. So yeah, we're going to be here. So sit tight. Every Wednesday, I'm going to be showing up. So let's start. I just want to check in with my mate who's with me, and she's going to be with me. She's like the producer. Shall we call you the producer? So you're going to be hearing a voice from beyond. Shall we call it the voice of God? Should we do that? Anywho, so yeah, how are you doing? How was your week?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. So this week was both exciting and stressful, because obviously we are launching this podcast this week. Plus, I had to submit a magazine piece. Also, I had to go and see my students at RADA, and it was manic. So it was busy, hectic, starting new things. You know what it's like when you're starting something new? It's like you're on 100, and I no longer drink those energy drinks. So I have to run on my own gas. How was your week?
Yeah, totally understand when you've got to find that energy from within, but it's all for the greater good.
Yeah.
My week was great. It was similar, quite manic. I've not long come back from Marrakesh, which was lovely to get a bit of sun. That was a personal trip. And I'm off to Berlin next week, so...
Wowza.
Yeah, I've just
You're like traveling everywhere. Like,
I'm living it out of a suitcase a little bit at the moment, but it's all good. And yeah, so super hectic.
Yeah.
And again, similar to you, finding the strength from within because I don't have those energy drinks, coffee anymore either. So, and it's doable, but it takes that extra strength.
It does, doesn't it? I think we're unlucky because we've decided not to have energy drinks. But in a way, it's good because you then rely on your own mental state, if that's the thing, your mental state, your mental awareness. And you've got to be intentional with what you're going to do to get yourself up and going, okay? So one of the things that I do with being intentional is to have a word of the year. And every year I kind of come up with either one or two words. And then this year I decided I'm going to have 3 words. So I'm not going to share all 3, but I'm going to share one that I think we should all kind of be aiming for. And I know I'm imposing and projecting, and I'm saying that I'm going to reassure myself that that's okay, because I think when you have something like word of the year, it kind of helps you navigate the rest of the year in terms of how you want it to go. And then when you're starting to step out of that, once you remember the word, you can bring yourself back. So if you have goals, you can have a word of the year that mirrors the goals, so that when you start sinking and going way off course, you can bring yourself with a word of the year. So my word of the year, one of them is fun. And you know why? Because I can be quite a serious person, okay? I can be all about goals. I can be all about discipline and getting things done. And I can just be like, go, 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 go. And I can forget fun completely until I'm on holiday. You're the same. Yeah. I'm totally like, oh yeah, I could just be like going, goal setting, more goals. I'm sure you can all relate at some point. And then I forget about fun. And then I'm like, all right, I need to book a holiday. And then when I'm on holiday, I'm just like laying over there on the beach, just relaxing. And then I'm like, yeah, I had fun on my holiday, but really, I didn't do anything. I was just like just taking a breather. And is that fun really? But I want to do fun things. I want to go on purposeful, intentional, fun trips. So not just laying on the beach, which is mainly what I do. Have you had a fun trip planned this year? I know you've been having the sun, but what have you been up to this year with fun?
It's funny that you mentioned this. It's actually a bit spooky because I was just reading an article about this exact thing that, I'm not saying that this is, your thing or my thing, but it was just interesting that it's to do with your nervous system, the article, and that, when we're busy or when we've gone through a lot of things in life, we want to just chill and relax, and that's our body telling us we need to calm, the nervous system from the past, present, whatever's going on. But yes, we miss out on the fun, and it was literally something I was just talking to myself about in my mind. And you need to have some fun. You need to have some more fun, and that's why I was thinking about it. And as soon as you said that, my eyes lit up. I was like, has this girl been fly in my room?
Exactly, because that's
Absolutely
how I am.
agree.
That's how I am. I just forget to do fun things, and I just think, oh yeah, I'm going on holiday, so that's going to be fun. But actually, that's just me relaxing my nervous system, as you said. So yeah, I'm intentional with my fun this year. Therefore, the hair has changed complete colors. I mean, I think the last time I had hair close to this, I was 14, and my wonderful older sister, she dyed my hair, and guess with what? Can you imagine? Peroxide, 14 years old. I was dyeing my hair with peroxide. It was blonde. And my mum, poor lady, she was livid. She was at work, came back home, and there I was with this. I had I don't know if you can remember MC Hammer. He used to have this box haircut. I had the same when I was 14. And that whole patch at the top was blonde. And I was like, yeah, I'm cool. I'm living it up in Africa, in Nairobi. I was like, yeah, this is the life. And I really had fun with it. So going back to this is a bit of, I can change it up really quickly. So hair for me is a quick one to go to, but there's more intentional fun. And if you're going to keep an eye on my Instagram, I will be taking you along. So if you're not following the London Mentalist on Instagram, actually most of my social handles are that. So keep a follow and see how much fun I'm injecting into my life. I might have to remind myself, and I may even forget to do it because, yeah.
We can remind each other, don't worry.
Honestly, I think we need to do that. So, what's on my table?
What's on your table, Judith? I'm curious to find out. Please tell us.
Yeah. So, for those who don't know, if you don't know, which you may do already, because if you follow me, you're going to know this. I wrote a book back in 2023. It launched, actually, I wrote it before, but it launched in 2023 in March. I can't believe it's coming up to 2 years.
That's insane. It feels like it was just yesterday.
2 years of the book launch. And you know what? I was quite proud, actually, because it went straight to bestseller. And we always talk about how good old Jay Shetty was knocked off. He was like holding the spot, Jay Shetty. And as soon as I showed up, where was Jay Shetty? I don't know. Where was he? He was number 2 over there somewhere. And we know what they say about number 2. You're lost already. Like if you're number 2, you're the loser basically. So I'm not saying Jay Shetty's anything, but I'm just saying facts, right? So the book is, I've got hold of the cover here, but this is a copy. I read this all the time. I always see some people say they've written a book and never read it. And I'm like, huh? Look how dirty. This was the first ever copy and it's dirty, it's labeled. And one of my favorite chapters is about the villain. Everyone's got a villain. Like the villain always has a backstory. And I think this is quite important about, so if you haven't read it, go get it, Amazon, ASAP. You can read the rest of it. But going back to the villain, we all have a backstory. And I always say to people, that backstory of yours, which would be in form of childhood experiences that you may not have liked or that were traumatic, that is the villain era, okay? You have to take that story and start to transform it, because if you're always living from a story that is, what's the right word? I'm looking for the right word. A story that's always putting you down, that is disempowering, because it might be disempowering, but if you always look at that story in a disempowering way, you're always going to be looking back and you're never going to be able to move forward. So I'll give you an example of a disempowering story. That's not part of our podcast endeavor now that we're here. So if you had, so I'll use myself because, if you've seen any of my short videos on Instagram, I always use myself as an example. And part of my backstory was that I was told that I wasn't that bright. Academically, I wasn't that good. So that story when I was, in my early 20s, used to be such a negative story because it used to stop me from moving forward. So anything I tried, the story that I would tell myself is I wasn't academically clever. Therefore, I cannot do life well. I'm going to fail at anything that I try going forward. I won't be a good employee, or I won't be able to, I'm not clever enough to do any of the things that I wanted to do. So I settled a lot. And the way that I transformed that story to start being, my villain story becomes so powerful so that I can start, doing what I really want to do in life. I started saying, because I was not academically savvy or clever, this is why I'm able to do the things that are impossible, such as write, because I invest a lot of my time in the thing that I know that I'm not that good at. And we're going to talk a little bit about that a little bit later. But any story that you have that is debilitating, you've got to use that story and say, because of this story, I'm now able to do X, Y, and Z. Because of this story, I'm now capable of seeing this other side of life. Instead of saying, because of this story, that's why I cannot do X, Y, and Z. Use it as an empowering story. So, so that's a kind of aside conversation. But something that piqued my interest this week was, I think it happened last week actually. It's a story with Madame Joyce. I don't know if you saw that story. Did you see it?
To me. I think I've seen bits, but I've been so busy. I haven't been on Insta much this week.
So Madame Joyce, I really like her. She's a young lady, very successful online. She's got her own podcast. And she just chats about anything and everything. And she was talking about how she was watching what is it called? Super Bowl. That's it. Because I forget these things. So I barely watch half of this stuff. So she was saying that when she's watching the Super Bowl, she does not want to think. She just wants to be entertained. Okay. And the internet, as it does, came for her. They were not happy bunnies. They were saying, obviously Kendrick had a really strong political story in his music or in his performance, and rightly so, because there's a lot of things that Black Americans particularly go through, which is quite serious. And I can understand why, if you are American or you support what's going on, which technically we should all be, it's quite touching when you hear someone who's speaking blasé-ish around a topic that you're so passionate about. But also at the same time, I was like, the Super Bowl is meant to be entertaining, technically, okay? And whilst she was like, I don't want to think, I want to be entertained. Technically, she's right, because it's an entertainment thing. Now, Kendrick Lamar, I don't know the whole story because, again, I don't really listen to a lot of music in general, and I don't watch the Super Bowl, but I kind of had to, I did Google a little bit about it. And poor Madame Joyce was being told she should be, she should know, what's going on, and she should be supportive, and she should be doing all these things. And I just wondered, at what point did we become a society where nobody is allowed to have a different point of opinions? Like, you're not allowed to have a different opinion. You're not allowed to think for yourself how you think on your own. You have to follow what everybody is thinking. I think she's allowed to say she doesn't want to be thinking when she's watching Super Bowl show. She wants to be entertained, because technically that's what it's there for. I know there was a heavy message on it. But that said, why can she not have a difference of opinion? Like, we should be able to have me and Carmen, we always have difference of opinions. Me and my friends always have difference of opinion.
Absolutely.
Doesn't mean we're not friends anymore. It just means we have different points of opinions.
If anything, that's actual true communication and true intimacy, actually, because we're all different and we should celebrate that. But it's part of that cancel culture. It obviously still hasn't died out, and it's still around strong. Poor poor Madame Joy.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is a classic example of projection, like when you're projecting what you expect onto other people and you want them to do what you want. And I think it can be quite toxic, especially when we're looking at it closer with, friendships and, the people that you work with. If people are not thinking the same way you do, then they become problematic. And, why is that? Are you able, you tell me, are you able to hold space for people that have a different opinion than you? Is that a thing? Because I'm up for that. But if they are, especially if it's somebody on the internet that you don't know, that you don't have close relationships with, that you are not going to hang out with them, I can understand if it's a really close person, maybe your besties or something, and you're constantly having this battle. It doesn't have to be like, if it's one or two things, fine. But if it's a constant battle, then it becomes an issue. If you are really, really close friends. But if it's someone on the internet that's sharing their opinion, that's a good thing. People need to see different opinions from different people. Yes, it's a deep topic. Yes, it might offend some people. And yes, also we live in a world where people can be offended but don't know how to handle that. So my question to you is, can you handle offense without, abusing the other person, right? Or making them be wrong? Can you do that? Because I think once we get to that space where we can hear something that we don't like, but then we just carry on as normal, fine. Or maybe if you want to make a point, you can make a point, but make your point in a nice, kind way. I mean, people were dragging, they were not kind to her. They were telling her off. You would have thought she was a 2-year-old who's done something terrible and now she's being told off. It was awful. So I feel sorry for her, really.
Yeah. But I think, this is unfortunately part of the, for me, I'm saying that is my opinion, of course, but
yeah,
it's people have that courage behind the screen, they're like keyboard warriors and so highly opinionated, but they probably wouldn't be like that in person. And I think just to touch back on what you were saying, when people do have a difference in opinion, it's a time to self-reflect, and see why is this bugging me, what they said?
Yes.
They're the areas actually that you most likely need to work on, that you're sensitive about, that you're insecure about. Right. And it's a good thing to always know and highlight and work on. So
yeah, absolutely right. That's a really good thing that you've added on there. So when you're getting triggered by other people on the internet that you don't know, sharing their opinion, you're getting triggered. Ask yourself, why are you getting triggered? Because someone's sharing their opinion. Why is it sending you off the rails to the point where you're emotionally so triggered that you're coming on the internet shouting, screaming at the person? Yeah, good point. Check yourself, she says. Check yourself. All right. So on to the main topic today. So what I wanted to share, or what I want to talk about today is, what's the day today? I think it's the 22nd of February. Yeah. How are you doing with your goals? I'm pausing because I want to respond. I know I can't hear you through the screen, but how are you doing with those goals that you set up in January? Or was it the 31st of December, or did you do it on the 1st of January? How are they going is what I want to know. And what I want to say is, maybe we can discuss why you may not be achieving all of your goals or keeping up with your goals, because I think at this point, you would have done one or two things. You would have either forgotten about your goals and gone back to the way you were. Actually, one of three things. Forgotten your goals and gone back to doing whatever it is that you used to do. Remembered your goals, were unable to sustain them, so you decided that you're going to change them, amend them, and fix them to whatever you can facilitate or accommodate or have the capacity for. Or you're still sticking with the goals. Where are you? So one of those three things. So one of my goals this year was to show up online more, okay? I started with Friday night. It was an Instagram live on a Friday night. And I did a couple. This is a story of failure, just in case you're wondering how successful I'm going to be, telling you that I wasn't. So I started it off, I did a couple, and then it became, unsustainable, because I was doing the lives on a Friday. And now my Friday nights, instead of them being, enjoyable, and me getting ready for bed by 8 o'clock on a Friday night, became something that were a nuisance, and I had to get ready for my live on a Friday night, and then I wasn't going out anywhere, and I was thinking, this is not going to work anymore, so I need to stop this. So I did the second thing. I had to reset myself, because I was thinking, early days, it's not going the way that I wanted to go. I need to do something different. I didn't want to stop. I wanted to continue, but I needed to adjust. So I started to adjust it, and I adjusted it to this week. I'm now doing Monday. It's a mental fitness video that I do on a Monday. And then on a Friday, I did actually yesterday, a video that I dropped, which was a Q&A Friday. So it's a question and answers that you ask me off of the Monday video, and I answer them on a Friday, which works better because both videos are out by 1 p.m. on a Monday and a Friday. And it means I can also do those videos when I'm free, because I've got the questions before, and I can prepare the message for the Mondays whenever I want to. So it kind of works with my schedule. So I'm still on track with the goals. However, they've been readjusted. Now, the thing that I want to talk to you about is one of the reasons why you may not be achieving the goals. And one of the main reasons is because of the lack of self-awareness. And, for me, I knew I'm not going to do this because Friday nights is just not my thing. So my self-awareness in when I function the best, and I work better without a schedule. Like once I have a schedule locked down, sometimes I'm like, this schedule needs to change, right? I don't want this schedule anymore. So the things that I'm implementing that are new, I need them to be as free as possible. Because once they're locked down in a specific time, then I struggle to do them. Now, because I know that about myself, I was able to adjust accordingly to something that can fit how I am naturally, so that I can be consistent. So are you self-aware enough to be able to meet your goals? Do you know yourself? So one of the things is, do you understand your weaknesses? Yeah, my weakness is, as soon as a schedule is introduced, I want to run. Okay, so how can I, you're putting your hand up over there. Yeah, me too. So weaknesses, you've got to know what those weaknesses are, okay? If sometimes your weakness is emotionally regulating yourself, and you're constantly putting yourself in areas where you're going to get triggered, or you're listening to podcasts that are going to trigger you, or to music that's going to trigger you, what are you going to do about that? You might need to change the music or the things that you're listening to so that you can work on your weaknesses. Or you may want to work on the weakness and go to therapy or get a coach, all of those things, okay? So understanding what your weaknesses are is really, really critical for you to actually meet your goals that you set up for the year. The other thing I always talk about is understanding your strengths. Like, where is your power, right? Because we always see this with athletes. When they know that they're really, really good at something, they don't just ignore it. Like most of us ignore it. Even I was doing this. I was just ignoring my talent because I'm normally a chatterbox, and I'm not scared to kind of speak my mind. And that's a natural thing. So when I started to hear people do, speaking engagements, I started to wonder, how can I do that? Because I'm a natural chatterbox. Can I just incorporate that? And even things like this with a podcast, I know that's something that I can, that's a strength that maybe once I continue to do more of this, I will be good at it because I'm a natural chatter. I may have to adjust how the podcast runs, but this is kind of my scene. So how can I double up on my strengths instead of just ignoring it and thinking, oh, I'm just going to go and do this other thing that's really difficult over here that I'm trying to make money with? Find the things that you're strong in and start doubling down on those. Get a coach, get someone that can help you. Work on those day and night, because all you're going to do if you know what your strengths are is going to get stronger and stronger. The same way with athletes, they already know that, Mr. Bolt can run, or he's been training to run. So he knows that's something that he can do really well. So he's doubling up on that and making money on it. Okay. The other thing is looking around, what opportunities, and I know when I say areas of opportunities, for people, they always kind of say, oh, what do you mean when you say how, my areas of opportunities? So some of the areas of opportunity for someone, let's say, who is socially awkward, that's an area of opportunity, because you might be really good at your job and you're really good around your friends. But when it comes to going out, which may mean, you're going to grow your network, which might mean you might get more work, which might help you go more freelancing. And then eventually you might be able to leave your job and go working on this thing that you might, want to pursue. But because you're not looking at opportunities that you have within yourself, you're looking at the thing as something that is, what's the word that I'm looking for? Like debilitates you. If you're socially awkward, you're like, oh my God, I don't like going out. I don't like seeing people. I just want to stay here. But how about looking at it as an opportunity and then finding those friends of yours that are really outgoers and getting them to come with it? Because you know what it's like when you go out with chatterboxes like me. Like, I will just be introducing you. I'll be like, wait, who do you want to meet? Or come hang with me. I'll start talking and then you can chip in. So go out with people that are social butterflies and then tell them what you're struggling with, and they can then inject you whenever they want to, so that you can start working on that social awkwardness. All right. So look at opportunities where you think that is something that's doesn't work for you, or it makes you be a certain way. Or, I always go to the I'm shy thing, when people say I'm shy, so I can't do this because I'm shy. And I'm like, how's that working for you? Because being shy is not going to help you do anything. That's an opportunity for you to grow. Okay. That's an opportunity situation there waiting to be unpacked, because you can be shy all for the rest of your life and you'll achieve nothing if you want to achieve something that means you have to overcome it. Okay. So if you're shy at work, you're not speaking up. With your friends, you're just staying at home. With your family, you have no boundaries. It's like every area you're getting hammered. How are you going to be, working on your self-esteem, self-worth, being confident? All of those things, they're not going to work, because your opportunities, you're not utilizing them well. Okay. So the last bit I want to talk about is around threats. Okay. We all have threats. Okay. Threats are, and as soon as I say this, you're going to know what I'm talking about. So the threats are things that you do, like I'm emphasizing the word you, holding the mic, things that you do to sabotage yourself. I know you know what that is, because I know what my threats are, because I sabotage myself when I'm not trying to do things that I want to do that are outside of my comfort zone. Okay. So the easiest way I know that we all sabotage ourselves is around coping mechanism. Like I'm going to say poor coping mechanisms. I'm going to say bad coping mechanisms. Okay. You know what they are. For me, I just don't want to go to the gym. Okay. I know it's good for me, but I ain't trying. You're like, yes, me too. But I'm not trying. So I'm sabotaging myself by sitting at home and not going to the gym, because I know the benefits of it. So that's a self-sabotage that is a massive threat for me that I need to actively work on, right? So if you have problems, some people, when they have an issue, straight to drinking, or straight to overeating, or straight to overworking, whatever coping mechanism that is poor, that is not helpful, that is not useful, these are the threats that we have in our lives that keep us stuck and don't allow us to move forward. So guys, you're going to have to get to know yourself a lot more, a lot deeper, a lot intimate, and get so serious about knowing yourself, so that this year is going to go the way you want it to go, guys. Because otherwise, you're going to have your weaknesses, your threats, your opportunities, they're going to swallow you up. And if you're not improving on your strengths, if you're not getting someone to help you with that so that you can actually amplify those, the three are going to swallow you up, and you're going to stay the same every year. So you're not going to have a new year. So I won't want to see you next year going, Happy New Year. It's going to be, you should be saying, same year, same things happening for me. Okay. No new year for you if you're not self-aware, because you're just doing the same thing. It's the same year. It's just called 2026. right? So I know that's a bit harsh. It's like, oh my God, Judith. Yes. Okay. This podcast is meant to be like a fun thing for me. And look, I'm already getting serious. It's not even work. This is a fun project for me, but I'm already serious. But that's okay, because all parts of us, we have to embrace all parts of us, because they'll show up whether we want to or not. So don't have the same year every year, because you are not knowing yourself. Because I know self-awareness has been given a bad name now. Like everyone's like self-aware, self-aware, self-aware. And you're still not self-aware, because you think self-aware is self-care. Self-aware is not self-care. Self-aware is knowing yourself enough that when you see things that trigger you, you know the thing is going to trigger you. So because you know the thing is going to trigger you, you're already 10 steps ahead, and you've got things in place that are going to cancel that trigger, because you already know that thing triggers you. Or if you get triggered already, because sometimes we're just in it and we think, what the hell, how did I find myself in here? You know that you're in a hole. So your next move is to get out, not to sink deeper into the hole. Okay? That's the only way you're going to create a life that you want, that is peaceful, that is easy for you. So don't get caught out in these streets, because the world is going to beat you down if you let it. All right. So until next week, I'm going to make it lighter next week. I will try and make it lighter next week. But I would always have a deep and meaningful moment, because it's just the way that I'm built. So I'll see you next week. If you're not on socials, you know the London Mentalist is where you need to be at. See you next week.